I know what you're thinking when you clicked on this video, that this is going to be some troll, meme post type of deal, but no. This video is going to cover one of the most important concepts in Overwatch and teach you how to apply it to your own game. Other coaches have referred to it as ebb and flow, or push and pull, or in and out. And just to show you how bad this problem is, here's a professional Overwatch coach explaining how his team, the LA Gladiators, fell victim to this.
My impression was that we were just the most brain-dead rush team ever, you know? Like, we went really, really far backwards in understanding, where it was just a bunch of fucking idiots that wanted to push all the time. It was like, I'm going to press my Ramattra shift really fucking early, and if I don't kill someone in the first 5 seconds of pressing left click, then the game is over. And that's just not how these comps actually work, you know? These comps are more than one turn. Like, there's a push and pull.
But now you can do literally nothing and win. They never understood that concept, didn't understand just not going in first.
So in this video, I want to talk about the S.E.X framework, or in other words, scout, engage, and exit, and how you can use this concept not just to win games in team play environments, but to also win your own ranked games. So what does scouting actually mean? Well, I explained this in my other advanced concept guide, but basically, it just means gaining information about the enemy team early on. It could be information on what heroes they're playing, or more commonly, where they're playing. I talked about how you could even scout on the most mobile heroes in the game, like Sigma, where you can look around in between your primary shots, or even on Zenyatta, where you can look around when you're busy charging up your 5-orb. If you're an Honor and you're scoped in, just zoom out and look around when you're busy reloading. It sounds simple, but stuff like looking around is a form of scouting, because you can spot flankers moving around the map and adjust your positioning accordingly. Of course, all of this doesn't apply to Sombra, because she's invisible, but you get the point. Now into the engage section. This is where it really gets interesting. So in Overwatch, one of two teams are going to engage. This can either be a soft engage or a hard engage, and I'll talk about those later, but one team is gonna engage eventually. Maybe you're Honor and you land a big nades. Maybe you're Mei and you land a big juicy wall. Maybe you're Mauga and you hit a fat stomp. In all of those cases and more, you're looking to engage to get some kind of advantage. I've explained these advantages before in my previous videos, but this can either be positional, meaning you get space, or maybe you get point control, cooldown based, meaning you force a disproportionate amount of cooldowns, or maybe even an ultimate, HP based, meaning you just get them to low HP with your engage, or numbers based, meaning you actually get a kill with your engage. So every single time you engage or go in, you're looking to get at least one of those factors, often all four. So how do you engage properly? Well, the two obvious factors are positioning and timing. For example, the team that I coach, Warwick Angels, push in here with Overclock. We all push in at the same time, onto the same target, and from slightly different angles. Admittedly, Lijiang Night Market isn't the best designed map in the world, but because of this, we end up forcing all of the defense cooldowns of the enemy team, and we kill the queen. We engage, we kill the queen, and we stabilize. Simple enough, right? Well, what about a dive example? Well, good news everyone. Especially considering we're in a Sombra Tracer meta right now, I have a great clip showing a scuffed engage from a team that I used to coach a few months back during that dive meta, showing both bad positioning and bad timing, and how to fix it. Imagine it, like you're here and you land a nade. Like this fight's over. It's like wrap it up. It's done. Like that's it, right? Like these men are looking like the Guangzhou charge. In other words, they're cooked. So this fight's done, right? And Gecko, I think that's on you. Like if your monkey's calling, can we go? And you're not ready because you're busy like rotating through building. You can even stand and where your brig is, right? Like imagine if you're here, you can also get the nade here too, right? But if you're rotating like that, just say wait. Just say you're not ready. That's fine, right? Be vocal. Your tracer actually dies there because you can't support. Yeah, it's just scuffed, right? And then your monkey actually dies there. Yeah, backline, frontline desync there. Before I continue, if you want to rank up fast in Season 8 and hit a new peak for yourself, I strongly recommend you check out my coaching. All the coaching is uploaded on my second channel, so you yourself can see that I'm the real deal. If you're interested, click the top link in the description. Both of those are examples of hard engages. Essentially, you have enough numbers, cooldowns, ultimates, or even a better position to hard commit to a fight. But what about soft engages? Well, soft engages are kinda like dipping your toe in the water. Maybe you haven't got enough resources to fully submerge yourself in. You're just proccing the enemy team to use resources themselves and to commit a disproportionate amount of cooldowns or resources. So for example here, our Doomfist soft engages onto the enemy team. The queen commits shouts, so a cooldown, and commits on point by herself, so she commits positionally. Credit to Contenders coach, Egoist Cat, who talked about forcing commitments in Overwatch 2. And this is where I want to slide into the third stage, the exit stage. This is where we've forced enough resources from the enemy team, so we stabilize, pull, or exit, and then once that queen shout is over, we push back in with Kitsune Rush and a nice Mei wall. We bait the jungle queen into us by playing slow and playing seconds. This idea was actually ripped straight from Natter, yet another professional coach, where you look like you're hard engaging, but you're actually not. You bait the enemy team into engaging onto you. You then exit or pull, and then you engage or push back in. This is what coaches mean when they say push and pull, and the best teams in the world understand this cycle perfectly. Here's another example by the Florida Mayhem to look like they're hard engaging first with their Ryan not playing up, but they're actually not. So Boston end up hard committing a blade, and then Florida just pull or exit the fight entirely, and they've just cheated an ultimate for free. Credit to Commander X for the background footage for that clip there. So hopefully you guys understand the title of this video now, and that it's not entirely clickbait. The best teams in the world know how to have sex, or in other words, they know how to go in and out at the right times. And this leads me on to the next idea, that if, for whatever reason, your engage or push doesn't go well, so for example, say you're a Mei player and you get a bad wall, don't always feel like you have to keep pushing with that wall, because you're now down a CD and you haven't got an advantage that you can push with. Even in Overwatch League, this happened all the time with teams that never played Mei comps, and I'll show a clip of me explaining that here. Speedly gets a terrible wall that eventually puts Defiant at a resource deficit. Now would be a great time to wall off Psycho, forces Ice Block, then Kaluge gets a free shatter and forces beat, but instead, Psycho gets the superior wall, pounds the shield of Kaluge, saves his cryo for shatter, and Kaluge gets run over because he obviously hasn't got shield. I don't know why Brawl teams keep doing this, but please, if you don't get a good wall, don't push. This fight is a perfect example of why. So what does this all look like in a drawn out, convoluted fight with many ultimates? Well, I'll show you here. So I thought I'll just go over this quick uni game. This is around mid GM, and it basically shows you how to soft engage and what the point of it actually is. They've got 5 ultimates, we've got 3, we're down an ult advantage, we know this, so what we want to do, we're going to bait engage, we're going to soft engage, and the point of that is to bait out ultimates from the enemy team. Right, our Doomfist is in, he's just looking to force out like a Kitsune Rush, and he does exactly that, and he gets more than he bargained for, right? He actually gets out the blade here, and the overclock here eventually, right? But now, what we want to do is, again, the purpose was just to get our ultimates, we want to pull back, we want to get out, and then play point here, and then we can do all sorts of like nice webbing stuff. But that's for another video. Unfortunately, our Mei gets hooked in by the Jungle Queen, which means that they're forced to use cryo early and then dies on the pullback. Not great, but just a really good pull by their Queen, a really good knife, so good outplay there by them. But they unfortunately over-ult this push, sadly. They probably get this kill into the Mei with just the Kitsune Rush, but they pop the overclock and the blade. So a big over-ult there. So if you're UCL, if you're blue team here, you're pretty happy with this. Again, 5v4, you've gotten the kill with the Mei ult, or with the blade. All you need to do is just stand still and stabilize, right? Because you're down half HP, you're down all of your cooldowns. The only way you lose this fight is if you get traded out on low HP and low cooldowns. And that's exactly what we do here. So our Doomfist has empowered punch here, punches the Genji straight into the wall, and then dies, right? And that's so important to understand. If that Genji just plays slow and understands that he needs to get out and stabilize and reset his cooldowns, and that we want to push back in, then they actually win that fight, and then we don't find that trade. So at the same time, our Brig gets rally, pops rally, and then looks to get a trade even further, and then their Queen pops Rampage in response to that, but it doesn't find anything, right? It only finds the Brig, who cares, right? No one really cares. So which means we can still keep pushing with our rally. And then we push back onto the Queen, but unfortunately, the Queen gets down to 10 HP, just barely lives this push from us. All blue team need to do now is just wait for cooldowns, stabilize off of this, and then push back in, right? And they do exactly that. So they stabilize here, they live, they push back in with Queen Shout, and they go straight onto our Brig. So really unfortunate that we don't get the kill on the Queen, but even better for us, the Lucio pops beat here on their pushback. So just to recap the flow of the fights, we soft engage early on with just our cooldowns, and we end up forcing out 3 ultimates from the enemy team. We then pull back our best, and then we push back in with Meteor Strike and Rally. The enemy team try and pull back, but they don't really do that. The Genji gets caught out on the trade, and then they push back in with Rampage, but that Rampage doesn't really find any value, so we're allowed to keep pushing in with our Rally. We end up getting the Queen down to 10 HP, but they do live, so they pull back, and then they just push back in with Beat and Shout, and then they win the fights, right? But despite that, if you're from blue team's POV and you're looking at what went wrong in this fight here, The first thing was that, you were over-ulting during your pushes, you're using too many ults for what you were given, and the second thing was that you never really pulled early on. So for example, the Genji, he didn't really pull away from the rally or the meteor strike, and ended up getting traded and dying, right? That's really key. Here's yet another example from an actual coaching session I did with my team, where we were again at an ultimate disadvantage, and you can see the push-pull dynamic in play. You know they have 4 ults, you know you have 2, what do you do?
Right, that's fucking hopeless, like, I don't know.
What did Matt say?
Bruh, trying to contest point on that looks fucking hopeless, lol. I'd be looking for an ultimate kill on an angle, and hoping my Doomfist can sustain on point with Kiri and Rally. Okay.
Roshet, I guess, Roshet.
So your Brig Surgeon can come here, your Doomfist can stage here, and then your Kiri Genji can actually swing here, and then you've got 3 different angles. And then your Doomfist will go in, and his intention will not be to get a kill. His intention going in, just force anything, force an ultimate. And once that happens, this guy can fuck off and doesn't need to go in. We force Visor, great, 1 ult off the boards. Now all that needs to happen, in fact, you tell me, Andreas, what do you need to do? Live, right? You can make an argument that if you punch away, and then Seismic back on point, and then, power block, they're probably going to rock you and you're not going to live. But hopefully you buy enough time for your Sojourn and for your Genji to get value here. In particular, with this ultimate as well. And then who knows, maybe Thor can actually rally on point, sustain your ass, and maybe Kajor gets the best Suzu of his life, and then you can keep playing on point here. And yeah, J9 just magically gets 2, by the way. I don't know how he does this, but he gets the big end somehow. Yeah, Soldier gets a big... somehow.
Yeah, the Soldier.
He's basically just leave, right?
I watched that video the other day.
Imagine if you had a Sojourn overclocking here as well, with Kiri supports, and Kiri can actually help the here or here, and your Brig can actually help here or here, depending on who, right?
Imagine I had a team. Would be nice.
So, what does this mean for you? A gold, plat, or diamond player who just wants to climb? Well, especially if you're a tank player, it means recognizing when you're at an advantage and when you're at a disadvantage. It means slowly increasing your aggression if you're at an advantage, and quickly baiting out cooldowns, ultimates, or even going for a trade if you're down in terms of numbers. If you're in a 4v5, maybe popping around your corner with that shatter can swing the fight entirely. Or if you're in a 5v3, it means that maybe you shouldn't just power slide in and feed if you're Sojourn. And of course, on the team level, there's been plenty of analysis across a variety of different comps, so I hope that anyone, regardless if you're pushing contenders or if you're pushing copper, can get something out of this video. And of course, I hope this convinces you to get my coaching in the description. Until next time.